Hiya folks, and welcome to Dwarf Fortress. So, what is Dwarf Fortress? Well, probably looks kind of scary in the fact that it looks so simple. And if you're wondering why we're recording this, basically, in windowed mode, with my desktop hiding in the background, go and check the video I've got linked in the description down below for an explanation as to why that is. But this game is kind of the granddaddy of simulated colonies. It was created by Tan Adams and Zach Adams about 12 years ago, 2006, so exactly 12 years ago. And has been rolling on ever since. It's free. You can go and get it at bay12games.com. I'll also have a link to that in the description. And it's just really cool. The only thing is that possibly it will try and scare some of you off. There's a lot of misconceptions about the game. Try to just stick with me, and I'm sure you'll begin to understand why this game is so awesome. Graphically, it's kind of, to me, it's actually kind of beautiful. But to a lot of people, it's kind of hard to understand at first. It's almost like you have to learn a visual language. But I've tried to make that much easier on you guys by installing a graphical pack. So, let's get going. We're going to create a new world. Actually, we're not going to use this world. We're going to create a new world. And you can designate all sorts of things. This is kind of like the way that you create a new world in RimWorld, except instead of a seed, the seed was already created. You saw that with all the bunch of jumble multicolored letters that showed up briefly. But you have a lot more options here, and the options mean different things. And I'm going to briefly cover what they do. I'm not going to try and bore you guys to death with what they do, especially when you're just looking at this stuff. I'm sure you want to look at something that is a little more interesting, eye candy wise. But world size, self-explanatory. How big is the entire world? And these numbers can be kind of misleading at first. 129 by 129 doesn't sound so huge when you think about a RimWorld map, but we're not talking about the RimWorld map, we're talking about the RimWorld world. Again, we'll talk about that later. This is huge. 129 by 129. It's really big. History. Simulated history. This is a whole thing. It would take its own episode to explain what a simulated history in Dwarf Fortress is all about, but I guess the short form is that Tan has created a procedural history generator which will go through, when creating your world, it will go through year 1 through to year 250. You can see that down here on the bottom. Current year 250. We went up all the way to a very long history. It would generate 1,050 years of history, or 5 years of history. We're going to stick to medium, 250 years. That's a huge, like, it generates every year of history when generating your map. So it'll do year 1, year 2, year 3, all the things that happen in there, all the rises and falls of civilizations, all the wars, anything that happens to important people, anything that happens to mythological things, all of that. It's intense. Just keep in mind, when I'm talking about how detailed the simulation in these worlds is, Dwarf Fortress simulates erosion in terms of rainfall and the formation of rivers and streams and brooks and stuff like that. To give you an idea of how intense the simulation is, it goes that deep in terms of your world generation. Number of civilizations. How many civilizations exist in your world? Number of sites. These are like special sites. I think if I was to talk about that in RimWorld, that would be Crypto Sleep tombs on your map, or if I was to talk about that in Minecraft terms, that would be like how many forest mansions, you know, special special, not necessarily buildings, because they can be organic, like caves and so on, but ones that are specially tailored. Beasts, this is mega beasts. Mega beasts are a whole topic of their own. They're procedurally generated super monsters. How many of those roam your world? Natural savagery, how wild is a place? Do you have a conifer forest full of timber wolves or dire wolves? Do you have an ocean full of portal sharks or great white sharks? You know, like how mean is the wildlife around you? And mineral occurrence, how many minerals there are in the ground, and how many types of minerals are there in the ground. We're going to stick to the defaults for all this and go. Now you can hear in the background we've got some music playing now, and there was that sound effect that played when I hit go. This is Sound Sense kicking in. Sound Sense is this beastie down here, and it's in a separate window. So you can see it is playing music right now. And that is because Sound Sense kind of hooks into the game to provide more sound effects and music for Dwarf Fortress, because Dwarf Fortress doesn't kind of focus on those things. Tarn Adams is too busy creating ridiculous amounts of simulation. So that's Sound Sense's job. And if you're wondering why that was in a separate window, again, I've got a link to that video in the description down below. Now, as you can see, maybe you can see if you're not on a phone, but it's generating every single year. And it's history's figures. These are all the important figures in the world. There are now 17,000, 18,000. It'll keep going up and keep going up. And how many of those important figures are dead? 5,200. They've dead and passed away. And how many events have occurred in the world in terms of that history that it's creating? It's created 120,000 different special events. And this is what we mean by that procedural history. It's really, really intense. And you might have noticed while I was yabbering around that some of the, and you can probably still see some of it change here and there, but some of this world is continuing to change over time. And that is due to that erosion and terrain modification and stuff through the generation of things. Now, this is going to take a while. It's got to do 250 years, and each year is just going to get slower and slower from this point forward. So I'm going to rejoin you once that is done. Okay, we have finished the map generation. Wow, this is our huge world here. You're going to see down here is where my cursor is. I want you, because I know this is the point where people are like, whoa, this is too much for me. Visually, I don't understand what's going on. With a little bit of guidance and encouragement, I am sure you're going to find this just as fascinating as anything else. The blue is the blue of the ocean, right? You've got these little grey triangles here. These are really, really tall mountains. Got these lighter ones. These are even taller mountains. You've got these small hollow triangles. Those are kind of medium mountains. Okay? These ends, these reoccurring ends over and over again, these are hills, foggy hills up here. And then here is a forest, the worthy jungles, in fact. So this is a jungle, a whole lot of J's for jungles. The Hills of Lords come up here. The legendary Tooth is the name of this entire mountain. And it's generated all this names and stuff. Like, zoom in. I forgot I could zoom, and it's actually kind of made things, there we go, a bit blurry because it wasn't meant to be zoomed like that. But we've got dunes here. These are some actually quite nasty dunes, these brown ones. These are like badlands, kind of like the Arizona desert. Just dry and cracked. Little life there at all. And then you've got these pristine hills. These are some hotter hills. You've got this band of heat coming through, coming from left to right through here. This is this hot band through the entire world. And that just makes things yellow in this case. It just indicates that it's like a drier area. You've got these quotation marks and stuff down here. This is grassy lands. These are the hollow steppes. You've got some more desert over here. Looks like we've got a lot of civilization going on here. This is a huge jungle with some quite big hills and mountains and stuff here. This is the Finger of Poetry. That's the name of that mountain range. Got these polar caps down here as well. And we've got a polar cap all the way at the top as well. So that's kind of how you read the world. So you can start to see mountain here, mountain here, mountain here, mountain here, forests, hills, more hills, lots of hills, plains right through here. We've got this dunes over here, a red sand dunes, and a white sand dunes over here. You can also have black sand dunes. This might be a black desert over here, or black sand plains anyway. The mire, it's a swamp. Got a mire of smouldering here. So this is our world. This is the world we have generated. It's huge. And don't believe me, you'll soon see. Let's say I like this world. This world is called, down here at the bottom, Ots Tux Straps. Osts Tux Trasp. The Cyclopean planet. Say, we accept. We'll be right back while this does its thing. Alright, and we've been booted back to the main menu. The reason for that is, instead of going to create world, whoops, my bad. Instead of going to create world, we go to start playing, and now we can choose which region we want to play on. I generated one earlier, but I wanted to generate one with you guys. Let's go to Ots Tux Trasp, the Cyclopean planet. That's Dwarvish, by the way. We can go to Dwarf Fortress, Adventure, or Legends. Legends allows us to look at some of the history. We should possibly do that. Adventure, which is like a normal roguelike where you play one character and wander around, and Dwarf Fortress, which is what we're going to be playing. Let's take a look at the Legends, so you guys get an idea of the kind of history that's been generated for this world. So, we can see the history of our world. Historical figures, sites, artifacts. There's 9,006 artifacts, 1,042 current sites, 46,627 current historical figures, a whole bunch of regions, underground regions, civilizations and other entities, structures, historical maps, the ages of myth. So if we went to, say, civilizations, we can see all the civilizations that this has generated. And we can take a look at the Fenced Jaw, for instance. The Fenced Jaw. In year 1, the elf Aenir Floors Islands became the acolyte of the Fenced Jaws. And so you can follow the entire history of this civilization all the way down to its very, very end, where sometime in 250, the goblin Fevo Fineses became the diplomat of the Fenced Jaws. So 250 years of history for the civilization, 250 years of structures, underground regions, artifacts, sites, and historical figures. Historical figures we can take a look at. Here we go, here's a crazy one. Lathi Mirifitheia on a Liulima Amere. Lathi Cal-painted the tenacious climax of persuasion. I love the name generator for this. The female Hydra. In Midsummer 20, Lathi became the enemy of the Gland of Fire. In early spring 47, Lathi fought with the goblin Burklismissixins. While defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. In... see what happened to her towards the end here. Ooh, In early spring of 234, Lathi devoured a hen of the coalition of Adoration and Viper Smiled, sorry. In early spring of 245, Lathi devoured a troll of the Dented Plague and Breaches. And then we've got 5 years of missing on her. Oh dear, I wonder what happened. How mysterious. These are all her interactions. So, yeah. An entire history. Let's get into Dwarf Fortress though, shall we? And this might explain why I keep saying the world is so huge. It needs to generate 2 weeks of history here, and it'll go into the spring. You can see it marked here for where we end up. Right. What the heck are you looking at? So, we have 3 windows: local, region, and world. Local, region, and world. World is the entire world squeezed into a box. Region is our region view. That will make sense in a second. And local is our local view. In region view, which is the one that I'm controlling with my arrow keys right now, it's square to square translation. Okay? 1 press of a key equals 1 region movement. This cursor here, this X, that is the region that we are looking at. We're currently looking at the waters of Bering right now. If I moved up to here, the land of conflict. So that gives you an idea. And over here, every few squares, it moves 1. Every few squares here, it moves 1 here. Right? So this is just the entire world squeezed into this window. Now, to give you an idea of why it's so huge, this is 127 units this way, 127 units that way. Each of these squares is this window all on its own. Okay? So if I went up, say, to here, we've got this local region here, which is all hills. All these ends are hills. And we've got these blue lines coming through here. These are rivers or a stream or something. This is one region. Your fortress takes place in this square here. This 4x4 square. It can even be bigger if I do this by holding Shift and pressing U and K. Or make it smaller by pressing H and M. All the instructions are down here. Resize local area. And then I can move this local area. Should make that 4x4 again. I move that local area by doing the same thing except not Shift held down. And that moves that. That square is where our actual game is going to take place. The square that I'm moving around now. And that on its own is enormous. Once you see in game how big that is enormous. So this world is huge. It's enormous. How do you find a place to build a fortress? Well, fortunately we have find desired location, which helps us out a bit. I'm actually going to make this find me a area that is 5x5, so slightly more than normal. We're not going to worry about savagery, evil, elevation, or temperature. We are going to ask that it has a flux stone layer. This will make sense, I promise. That it has no aquifer, that it does have a river, that it has multiple shallow metals. None of this is making any sense to you, but I assure you it will once we get in the game. That it has some deep metal and that it has some clay. And then I'm going to ask you to find that for me. And you can see here on the world map, it keeps blinking in and out, how it's doing its search. And every so often you'll see a green X show up in amongst the red X's, and that is an area that matches our find location desires. So we're eventually going to be able to look through this whole thing and find somewhere to live. Hopefully. That's the idea anyway. So it's going to slowly work through the entire thing. Find us plenty of valid places to live. and then we're just going to pick one. That's the story. Okay, so we've got plenty of options. Each of these regions, well, let's browse results. Each of these regions, where's my cursor? Hello cursor, I don't know where you are. I have lost, oh, I'm all the way up here, okay. So each of these blinking X's is a region that follows what we want. We kind of don't want to be in amongst somebody else's base. So all these omega symbols here are other dwarves. So we're probably going to move away from them. We've got a nice mountainside here. Let's maybe look at moving into a mountainside. That would be very dwarfish of us, wouldn't it? And then somewhere in amongst this is everything we've asked for. And we can find that by viewing biomes, which is, again, down the bottom, F1 and F2, view biome. This is a biome here. This is the biome that contains the things we asked for. And this is a biome here, which just has a lot of sand. Really? But if we moved in here, we would have what we asked for. We'd have some mountain, and we'd have the things that we asked for. So why don't we just go with that? I kind of want some more mountain. Kind of restricts. Let's look at that biome stuff again. So now we've got 3 biomes. We've got that one. We've got this one, which has some sand, clay, and soil. We've got this one, which has sand, clay, soil, shallow metals, and flux stone. Well, if we move down a bit, then we will have, oh yeah, see, we've got all that, and then we've got this, which has sand, deep metal, and flux stone. I forgot to mention, I'm looking over here when I'm reading those things out. It's a lot to take in, but I'm sure once you get used to looking at what I'm looking at, you'll start to understand why this is so cool. I'm not seeing the deep metal we were promised here, to be honest. I'm wondering why we were told there would be deep metal. All of this has been told to be what we would like. And I kind of like that idea. We can also press tab, and that changes what we're looking at in the region that we're looking at. So here we've got some dwarfish neighbors and some goblins. Our civilization would be the Gilded Inks. This is our elevation we're looking at here, our relative elevation in the local. Again, I'm looking at this local area, and this is what changes when we change this stuff. So this area is quite low, but this area is getting up there in height. In this one, we're looking at cliffs. We've got some very mild cliffs going on in this area, and otherwise it's quite flat. But come back here and keep looking around if we wanted to. I'm just trying to get you guys to see with the dwarven eyes, if you know what I mean. Which you probably don't, but see with dwarven eyes at what I see when I'm looking at this map, or what most veteran Dwarf Fortress players see when they look at this map. So we'd be in a bit of a canyon here if we took this one. Again, with some very mild cliffs. Cliffs are quite nice to play on, because it gives you stuff to build into. Anyway, I think what I'll do is I'll try and find a site that I like the look of, and then I'll come back and show you what I have found. Alright, well, I think I've found somewhere for us to move into. We have got the Jungle of Iron, Shallow metals, deep metals, flux-stone layer, deep soil, and sand. And over here in this biome we have sand, clay, deep soil, and flux-stone. So we've got basically all the things we want. It's kind of hot here, and a little warm, but I think that'll be fine as long as we look after our dwarves. And then all we need to do is we need to embark into the area, and to do that you press E. You have experienced a large area. Yes, I am aware it's a 5x5. Choose a smaller area if you experience lags. Cool. And now we can play now, which will give us a random set of dwarves to play with. Prepare for a journey carefully. This will allow us to customize our dwarves. But I think for the sake of our first fortress in this season, just to give you guys an idea of what we're doing, I'm going to use a pre-built one, and we can look here at what that will be. Easy start, made for new players. That's probably pretty good. 2 miners, grower, carpenter and doctor, hunter, lumberer and craftsdwarf, and a cook and brewer. So that's probably a good one. Nebulatron. Corny's easy peasy start. Disciplined craft lords. Disciplined ruin assault. Mayday new and improved. Wow, lots and lots of options. But I think what we'll do is 2015 is a while ago. I think I'm going to go to this one because it is very specific in what it contains, so we'll use this one. Embark preparations were not complete, and why would that be? Why indeed would that be? So this is our dwarves. Bimble Matkatan, Stuckad Zuglagargimer, and we can look at these guys. What's our problems? No pond turtle available. Oh dear. If we look at items, one of the things we would have asked for is pond turtle. Cave lobster. Sweet pod seeds. Kia mint. We have points down here in the bottom. Points. And this is how many points we can spend to embark. Everything has a cost. Over here is the cost of embarking with things. What else do we have here? Dwarves. Items. Got some yak meat, turkey. A couple of female cave lobsters. Male? I can never remember these symbols. I think that's... I can't remember. I can't remember which symbol is which. Whatever. Guess I could just look at bull. Yes, okay, that's female. I'm surprised there's no cat. Oh no, we got 2 cat. Do we have 2 cat? Yes, we have 2 cat. 2 female cats and 1 male cat. I think I want to switch that. So, 1 and 2 males. No? No cat. I am pressing plus, game. There we go, 2 male cats. Had to use the other plus. We got, yeah, 2 female dogs and 1 male dog. That's good. These are our animals. Here, all in here. We've got 44 points. What would we use 44 points on? Yak meat, kia meat, rum, ale, beer, wine. Because we're dwarves, we drink a lot. Quivers, copper bolts. Sure, I think we just leave that as is and we hit E to embark and we deal with whatever mistakes we've made. We're missing some turtles, that's fine. I am ready, yes. And it is loading.
Oh, we're here. Oh, my aching, stubby feet and legs.
And Stone Sense is loading. So this is what you guys are going to be able to look at to see what we're doing. So Stone Sense makes things a lot easier for you guys to see what's going on. And I'll figure out next episode the best way to film this. But this is the main game. You have arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into your forbidding wilderness beyond, Your harsh trek is finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all of Altalicot? There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labour comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plough or hook, provide for your dwarves. You're expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you, but it is spring now, enough time to delve secure lodgings. Ere the cougars get hungry, so we've got cougars in this area. A new chapter of dwarves' history begins. Here at this place, Erloromek, vessel long, strike the earth. Dwarvish is so hard to pronounce. And then I think what we'll do is we'll finish this intro episode off by showing you guys what the map actually looks like in terms of the world around us. Here we go. We are paused. Okay, so wow, things look a lot different to the text you were looking at before, doesn't it? That's because we have a graphic pack installed, which helps you guys see things a lot better. We have the actual delta of a river here, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we've got the actual, I think it's a brook, actually. K to look at things. We are looking at, what? An open space. Because we're not on the right Z level. Okay. Now I have to remember. I'm very rusty at this game, by the way. So I have to remember what the commands and stuff are. How do I change Z levels? This game is 3D. Unlike RimWorld, where this is the only view you would be looking at. See, the black is the inside of the mountain. You've got the mountain edges along here. And these triangles are like a ramp indicating that it's a slope on the mountainside. We've got this river delta here. And the actual river itself. You got some tree trunks and stuff, and I want to show you that, but I can't remember how to go up and down in terms of height. Oh, that wasn't it. Wow, that's going to be fun. So if we look at this, pressing tab opens this thing on the side. This is the information pane. And you can have a full view here. Maybe we can take a look with Stone Sense. Take a look at Stone Sense here. Oops. Go up Stone Sense. We can have a look around this way. And the mouse wheel does do what I thought it would. So we're going up right now, okay? So we're at the top of a canopy of trees. If I scroll down, you can see the actual tops of the trees, and then turns into the trunks, and then it's the forest floor. So we are looking at the forest floor in terms of gameplay right before, okay? So if we come in here, I don't think, no, it just does that. I'm gonna have to work out what the controls are. I have forgotten after all this time. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Gosh. What a pain. Anyway, I'll come back next episode and show you what all our area is all about. And we'll start building an awesome fortress. So guys, thank you for watching the intro to the Dwarf Fortress series. Please don't be put off by what you see. It's actually really beautiful once you get into it. And I'm sure it'll start to make perfect sense. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.